When you get to Chicago, you're on the bench most of the year. What was it like being number two? How did you embrace that role? What was your mentality going through to be, like you said, you came out of Toronto basically thinking you were going to be number one. Now you're playing number two for the entire, basically the entire season. What's that role? What's that mindset? And for anybody who might be listening, who isn't in that number one spot right now, what advice can you give them on being maybe a good teammate as a backup, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been one to say like you need to say I'm your number one or you need to guarantee me. Like it didn't matter to me what number I was. I was going to work as hard as I could every day, and I'm going to prove it every day, and I'm going to outwork anybody else that's around me. And so again, I had some very good goalkeeper coaches throughout my career, and Daryl was one of them. He told me right away when I went down for those couple of days in Florida, like they were giving Matt the opportunity, right? Matt had been there a couple of years, and it was his chance to be the number one. So Daryl was, playing with me, straightforward with me, and said, look, we're giving him a run at this. And I said, look, Daryl, I understand. And I'm okay with that because right now my focus is, yes, I want to play, but more importantly, I want to make sure I get my knee right and there's no setbacks, because I knew that, again, I didn't have a strike three, right? So that was my focus of more of like, I just wanted to get through the season healthy to know I kind of got over that last hump and then we were good. So, that was my mindset at first. But then, of course, as I get going, and as, weeks go by and months go by, and all of a sudden I started getting a sniff, and the change started to happen. And then all of a sudden, Saracen was fired, and Juan Carlos Osorio came in, and I absolutely loved Juan Carlos because he was like me. It was no nonsense. Like if he said 8 a.m., it was 8 a.m. If you weren't there, you were in trouble, right? Like he was old school, and I liked it. But one of the things he did, because I think I had played a couple games straight, for Dave right at the end, and then everything happened. So Juan went back to Matt, and Matt was a very good goalkeeper, very good. He was young at the time, but very good. And so I let a couple games go by, and then I don't remember where we were, but we were traveling somewhere. When we got to the hotel, I asked Juan for, a quick chat, and he was, again, great. I loved him. He really respected me, because of my work ethic. And, so we met in his room, and I said, look, I'm just curious what I got to do, to get back to number one. And he said, look, he goes, your work ethic's unbelievable. You should be a starter, 100% in this league. He goes, but I'm just coming from Man City. I want a tall goalie. You're not tall. You're not going to play. Like, just like that, literally said that.
I've had a lot of those conversations.
Literally said that to me. And I was like, okay. And I said, all right. I said, look, I will tell you this. I said, you won't have any issues from me, out of me for the rest of the season. I'll continue to work. I'll continue to prepare. I'll continue to be ready. If you need to make a change or anything happens. I said, but, at the end of the season, if you're still here next year, then we need to have a serious conversation, because if you're here, unfortunately, I can't be here. And I said, I really like you as a coach. I think you're a fantastic coach. And he was, he's like, look, no problem. We'll sort it out in the off season. So, that was that. And then, he ended up going to New York. And then that's when, if I remember correctly, that's when Dennis Hamlet took over.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. And then that year I was goalkeeper of the year. Now the funny part of that story is I'm driving home from, at that time it was called Toyota Park. I think it's called Geek Seat or Seat Geek or whatever.
Yeah, it's some weird name now.
Yeah, so let's just call it Toyota Park. So I'm driving home from Toyota Park, like the last week of regular season. And I was, or whenever it was playoffs or whatever, I'd just been named goalkeeper of the year, whatever it was. And I'm hitting traffic. So I'm like, okay, I'm just sitting here, and my phone rings, and, it's up on, I had a Jeep at the time, and it comes up, and I don't recognize the number. It doesn't come up as a name. And usually if it doesn't come up as a name, I don't answer it. I'm like, well, I'm stuck in traffic. Why not? Let's see who this is. I'm like, hey, it's like, it's Juan Carlos. Says, hey, is this Jon Busch? I'm like, yeah, who's this? He's like, it's Juan Carlos. I'm like, hey, Juan Carlos, how are you? And he's like, good. He's like, congratulations. We chit chat for a few minutes. And I swear to God, he goes, I need to ask you a question. I said, okay, what's up? And he goes, you want to play in New York next year? And I just started laughing. I said, Juan Carlos, I said, I like you as a coach. You're a good guy. Like I said, but you had your chance last year and you missed it.
Yep.
And he's, yep, I did. And I said, look, I wish you luck. And he wished me luck for the playoffs and whatnot. And that was it. But it was the funniest thing. I was like, usually I don't answer those calls. And I was just like, I'll answer it because I'm stuck in traffic. Why not?
Right.
It's Juan Carlos. So
that's so funny.
It was kind of funny. So
yeah,